Hi, my name is Madeline Grono, and I chose to talk about George Carlin and how he uses comedy as protest. Um, how can protest be used through comedy? So, George Carlin has used sharp and iconic humor as a purpose to convey the truth. Carlin uses comedy to criticize various aspects of society, and he also inspired the people who watched him to think about and question the diverse topics and think about why maybe what they think is normal may not be always completely normal. Um, and the first thing that I wrote, or first thing that I read, was Standing Up in the 1970s. And during this essay, or this writing, George Carlin would joke and mock those who may appear to be in charge and important, and maybe they aren't as important as what people may think, 'cause that's like normal for them. Carlin also stopped using his character. He stopped using different characters, and he would use his own voice as a way to express his true feelings and make people think that maybe it's more serious than it is if he's using his real voice. Class Clown and 7 Words You Can't Say on Television were his pivotal in Carlin's career. Um, Carlin, his humorous journey was very consistent, and in the 1970s is when people started to question established norms, and he used that to his advantage. And he did this because people were already starting to question it, and he thought that if he brought that into his comedy even more during the 1970s, then people would really start to think about maybe these established norms shouldn't be established. Maybe they're not really the truth or what should be viewed as normal. And he would also question many authority figures during his humor. Another passage that I read was Laughing Matters. And in this essay, George Carlin would use his humor for accepted ideas. So, what people thought was this is just needs to be accepted because this is how it's always been, this is normal. He would use that to question and ask people, well, does this really have to be normal? Does this make sense? Is this right? Carlin also would make people laugh by showing that what everybody accepts might, again, not always be true. Also, George Carlin was valued because he had the ability to show errors in people. And he would call people out. He would call out authority figures. He'd call out celebrities. And kind of just be like, is this right? Is what they're saying right? Carlin and the essay both touch on the fact that humor has a great power because it can highlight people's error and shine a light again on maybe this isn't right. Maybe there's an error in this person or this celebrity or even this event. The essay discussion of humor means that it drawed attention to the social injustices that align with Carlin. Transitions from comedy into late protest often were a thing for Carlin in that time. And the essay shines light on the idea that comedy can be used to expose social issues and challenge what's already an accepted norm. Another essay that I wrote or that I read was his biography. And this was what stood out to me kind of the most because it touched on his past and what he might have gotten in trouble for in the past. He found himself with legal trouble, and he got in trouble because he would touch on taboo subjects. He was well known for his 7 word performance, which did get him jail time. And it kind of sparked talk with among society, and it showed that how he used the comedy to challenge authority figures and social norms. Through his humorous comedy, He was very fearless, and he would touch on heated subjects that were hard to talk about, like politics, religion, and he even touched on September 11th. Carlin's was brilliance, and he was more than just entertainment for a lot of people. He had this gifted ability to be humorous, and talk about really hard subjects. A Short Guide to Survival and Laughter is another piece that I read. And during this, George Carlin is credited for a quote that he said. And it said, "If you're going to tell people the truth, you had better make them laugh or they will kill you." And this quote stood out to me a lot because it kind of goes to show that he was really able to talk about whatever he wanted as long as he made people laugh and he played it off as a joke. People wouldn't be as mad because it's just a joke, when really a lot of it was serious at the time. This shows that Carlin's belief in power and comedy was used to observe ideas about society and shine a light on the way that humor allows for difficult conversation and hard things to talk about, because a lot of people, even to this day, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, people don't want to have these conversations, but Carlin was the kind of guy that he would have these conversations, but he would play it off as a humorous joke. So yes, it was uncomfortable, but it was masked with comedy and laughter. The passage also doesn't just talk mainly about Carlin, but it touches on the details of how to talk about challenges by using laughter. And the passage was making fun of cultural norms in general, and it didn't go into specific details about Carlin's jokes, but it kind of touched on the basis of what makes something so serious. How do you make that funny? The essay also talks about how comedy in general and Carlin's humor in particular can help people deal with hardships, and it brings a lighthearted comedy to help people with the viewpoint of hardships and hard events to speak about. In the next essay that I read, it was an equal opportunity offered for 50 years. And in this piece, George Carlin is referred to as an equal opportunity offender. And he was someone who was who shared comedic awareness. George Carlin was very daring, and he was very consistent in his humor, and he liked to challenge again and spark discussion. And I think a really big thing with George Carlin was that he did like to spark discussion, and the reason why he did this is because there's so many things that aren't talked about, and he wants to bring it to light and make people take his comedy more seriously. In this, it also highlights Carlin's multi-decade career and his pursuit of humor. He would push boundaries, and he had a very unique and different way of handling controversial subjects. Carlin was disrespectful to a lot of politicians, celebrities, and social norms. He would disrespect them in a way that wasn't really allowed to be mad at, because it was played off as a joke. And I think that was very important, is that he was able to maneuver his way and make people not see it as such a big deal, but he really was planning like attacks and being disrespectful to these people and calling them out for establishing social norms that maybe shouldn't be established in that place. Okay, and then thank you.